Well, hey everybody, this is Don from a vlog of many things, and to my right or your left, depending on the video, is
A Tenkar.
Mr. Tenkar. Mr. Voralt is currently off on better and bigger lands and doing things. We have no clue. He is AWOL, AWL, asked without leave, but no big deal.
I'll write him up later. I'm going to put something in his folder.
That's right. We put something in his folder. That's right. We get the file out.
Yeah.
So you, sir, are up in the Poconos.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I got to clarify something here. Are you up in the Poconos or down in the Poconos? Where is the Poconos at?
Technically, it is pretty much due west of the city. So I'm across in the Poconos.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Maybe a little bit, but we're higher up. So I guess you could say up in the Poconos.
Yeah, we're up on the mountain.
Yeah, we have some height.
Hector, welcome to the show, and Mr. Gunn, welcome to the show. Oh, lots to talk about, and a short time to talk there. Oh, wait a minute, that's like kind of like the 1970s. What's that trucker movie?
Way to go, and a short time to get there.
What is that? It was with Chris Christopherson. He was a trucker.
Yep. That can't be done.
Not the one with the monkey.
No, that wasn't the one with the monkey.
This was what was that show called? You gotta say it because it's gonna bug me now.
This was
it was a trucker term.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, maybe it was Smokey and the Bandit.
It wasn't Smokey and the Bandit. It was when it was like a trucker who was like an outlaw trucker. It was definitely a takeoff on Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh.
I remember that. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this video and I'm gonna remember it, and it's gonna be too late. So, oh well. Eric's Googling it.
Yes, I am.
I hear him tapping.
Long way to go.
It's the Chris Christopherson trucker movie.
A short time. Westbound and Down, song by Jerry Reed.
But Jim Walker says, all right, let's get this on. I'm expecting breakfast tips because somebody said something about poached eggs.
I didn't say anything about poached eggs.
I don't know that I've ever eaten that.
What?
BJ and the Bear. No, that was the TV show. But we digress. We're getting off on tangents like we always do in this show. There it is. That's it. Fugly came through. Convoy. Thank you.
It was Smokey and the Bandit.
Thank
you. Convoy. That's what the show was called.
Convoy.
It was. It was that really kind of like that stint when like BJ and the Bear, Smokey and the Bandit was popular.
Smokey and the Bear was written by Jerry Reed and Dean K. Rose and recorded by Reed for the soundtrack of the film.
Yes.
And the Bear.
You were in a resort at Pocono Tenkar.
Sorry.
Yes.
I always think of the Bear.
So I'm dating myself, but I think that was the same year that my mom took us all to watch Dawn of the Dead at the movie theater, and I went to the bathroom, and then I walked up to my mom's car window and scared my sister so bad she projectile vomited all over the dashboard. My mom was pissed at me on that one. At the window.
That's one of those ones that you tell stories about.
Oh, I do. Later. Even now, and she gets all pissed. That wasn't funny. I thought it was, but
it's hilarious.
Needless to say, we didn't watch the rest of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, I could see that.
It was kind of. I mean, literally, she projectile vomited all over the dashboard. It was hilarious. But I remiss stories of my childhood coming through.
Fun memories of the.
Okay, violence sells everything. Says stay on target. Great Star Wars analogy. Okay, let's get into the meat and. Okay, it's okay, Don. I would date you too. Oh, Mr. Gunn, you're such a sweetheart.
Meat and potatoes.
That's right. Yeah, sure, it was your next guess. We believe you, Mr. Thomas. All right, I'm going to make something real simple here. Eric and me did a video earlier. Eric interviewed me real briefly, and it was kind of like a preamble to this video. In fact, let me real quickly get overlay up so I don't have to keep clicking on the chats. Here we go. So basically, to make a long story short, I take friendships really seriously. And, one thing that I never want to be known for is somebody who steals somebody else's game idea or as a convention, one of the worst things a convention can do is steal another convention's guests. That is just as nasty as you can be. That's wrong as a convention can get. And I kind of got accused of that today. And the reason why I came out in front of this is because I know the person who accused me, because they implied that they were going to take this public. I think they are taking it public. And I just want to do a video here, and we wanted to talk about it because, in all fairness, I think it's wrong for what's being laid out here. I'm kind of like even at kind of like a loss for words because I thought I was friends with this person, and although we had our ins and outs with the game project we worked on, I tried to keep it amicable, and he kept it amicable publicly. And he's even been on here, and we've laughed and joked and talked and everything. And it just really bugs me that, he invoked another friend of mine in the message. He involved other people, and it's just not cool. And the person I'm talking about, and I hate to say this, is Victor Dorso with Dave Con. And, to make this real brief, then we get the meat potatoes. What happened was Heidi Gygax and Eric Gygax Garland both agreed to come to WizardCon back when I first had WizardCon scheduled for 2025. And once we found out that WizardCon was the same weekend as Easter, we bumped it a weekend.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And basically what happened was we found out that basically what went on is that it was the same weekend as DaveCon. So Heidi very nicely messaged me and said, "Hey, Don, I cannot come to your convention because we committed to come to Eric's." And my response was, "No problem. Enjoy. DaveCon is a great convention. You have a lot of fun." And I left it at that. That was it. Well, Heidi came to me about a week ago and said, "Hey, we got a problem. We've decided that we can't go to DaveCon. Would it be possible for us to come to WizardCon?" And she basically just real briefly just says, due to the issue of scheduling logistics, they got a young one whose birthday is that Sunday. WizardCon is 2 hours closer than DaveCon. It was just easier to do it that way. I asked them, "Did you mention it to Victor?" They said, "We explained to Victor, all's cool." And I said, "Sure, you're more than welcome to come." And I guess that was not good. Mr. Gunn, not that I know of. Although I do know her race to come to conventions, and it's hugely, along with all logistics of it, what she expects is way out of my price point. But one can hope.
Nope. Sorry, no, thank you.
I mean, nice. Okay, I got me some chai tea, which I know you don't drink. It's usually coffee. I know chai tea.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a ultra peachy keen monster. I would have had a Rockstar, but Rachel finished off the Rockstar real quickly.
Oh man, Rockstar. But so basically, the bottom line is this: Heidi and Eric are coming to WizardCon now. I had no problem with it. I wasn't aware I was stepping on Victor's toes because they said they were not going to DaveCon. And Victor sent me a real brief message last night and just said, "Hey," and I'm paraphrasing a lot here, I'll admit, but basically said, "Hey, are you taking one of my guests?" And I said, "I'm not taking any guests. I don't want to get involved in no drama just in case there was some bad blood between them. I have no clue because no one has said anything to me." In fact, as a matter of fact, Heidi and Eric were very nice and professional and talked very highly of Victor. Okay? So I was all fine and dandy till this morning I woke up and he sent me a long message, Victor did. He threatened to go public. He called me basically a liar multiple times to him, which I don't appreciate. And on top of that, yeah, exactly. And on top of that, he went on about having, again, to go public and how I poached and stole one of his guests. I did not poach, steal, or otherwise. Hold on a minute. You're already written up.
Yep. And listen,
So,
I was a sergeant. I could do that. I could put people on paper.
Uh-huh.
Minor violations log, sir. Minor violations log. 3 of them, you're in trouble. Don't
So
worry.
basically, the bottom line is this: is that if you're going to go public about me and you're going to bring up a game project we were mutually part of, and then on top of that, you're going to accuse me of stealing your guests, and on top of that, all this is going to happen. Then boom, I'm going to respond to it. Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. Thank you for tuning in. He said, originally Victor told me Heidi canceled attending DaveCon because of Victor's stance on Adventure League and borrowing a specific member of WotC's design team. Okay, I want to address this real quick. As far as Adventure League goes, I am aware of his post. I even commented on it to the non-support of barring Adventure League, but it's moot anyways, because for those of you who don't know about Adventure League, in order to have Adventure League at your convention, you said it best earlier, Eric, it's a convention within a convention.
Yeah.
You don't just have Adventure League and give them a couple tables in the corner and let them run it. Adventure League is a commitment by a convention. And I don't know how big Vic's convention is, but I know the space that we have for WizardCon, and it's a fairly good-sized space, and it would take up our entire space. I mean, it literally would need it. So I don't care why he made his post. It's his convention. He wants to make a political stance, a social stance. Do it. I respect you, buddy. It's your convention. It was public, so I offered my simple little, thinking that, hey, man, it's a game convention. Everybody should be allowed to play a game.
Right, your feedback.
And yeah, and then I dropped it. I walked away from it because it's just that. And, Victor made the decision to make this public thing. He even put it on his tabletop events page as the front now message is his post about Adventure League. Again, his decisions on that. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not going to sit there also. I'm not going to, comment any further on that. But what makes me sad is, I thought of Victor as a friend. And you guys can see this behind his back. I've always been very open and honest about Victor. I have not sat there and hashed him out. I have disagreed with Victor on fundamental things. He has disagreed on me. Guess what? You and me all have disagreed on fundamental things too. But we're all friends still.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally did a write-in kit. I thought Satine Phoenix for 2024 myself, but no one else agreed with me.
Oh God, no.
Just
no.
joking.
And listen, I was gonna make a joke about the strong women in our lives, but then I thought better about it because the setup of the joke would just take too damn long to explain.
Exactly.
But suffice to say, everybody on the screen, although we have disagreed with each other on different topics, we've always been friends first.
Yeah.
Right. And the only thing I'm looking from Don, I'm looking for two things from Don. I'm looking for friendship and support.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are looking for anybody else to find a way for, I don't know, money to start blooming in our wallets. Now, that's on us. And I think when somebody said it earlier, when money is involved, and in this case, I believe Victor perceives that losing the esteem of a Gygax, a lower attendance at his con, personally, I don't see that. I think anybody who's going to DaveCon has likely gone to DaveCon already. That's your core audience. They'll bring others with them. I see that at North Texas all the time. All you need is one happy customer to have two happy customers, and two happy customers to have four happy customers. I think the special guest influencer part is less important. Nice. I happen to enjoy being a special guest when I am, but I don't think it's...
Yeah, but also, go ahead.
I just think that this whole kerfuffle with Victor is that he was virtue signaling by saying Adventure League is banned from Dave Kahn. It was virtue signaling because I don't think they had Adventure League there in the past. I mean,
They haven't, from what I've heard. And I may be wrong. So,
I mean, I think it was just virtue signaling, and he thought it would probably go well. And then Heidi Gygax is like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Stick a fork in me, and I'm done. I don't need this."
but the kicker here is this, Tom, is that is not anything. I mean, in other words, and I'll call a spade, right is right, wrong is wrong here, and that is Heidi and Eric both, her husband. I talked to them on the phone when they first wanted to come. They never brought anything negative up about Victor. They never brought up this Adventure League thing. They were not indignant in any way. They were very nice about it and very professional about it. And
my point is this: I think that starting a controversy is easier than admitting you did something stupid. Personally, that's what I think.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to admit he made a mistake, so it's Don's fault. I mean, and you've seen that in the past. There have been other people who refuse to admit their mistakes. Who Don's going to jail. Don stole this. Don did that. I mean, it's just easier to attack than to actually go. Maybe I was dumb.
Well, Ed makes a good point here. Ed, thanks for coming on, by the way. Ed says the question would be whether Heidi decided to skip Dave Kahn because of Victor's decision about Adventure League and chose to go to a different convention. But this is my counter question to Ed and anybody else with this line of thinking is this, is as a game convention, okay, I send feelers out to who I feel I want at my convention, okay? Now, I don't go down the line of every other convention in the area that is approximately timeline to me and say who has been asked, who has not. What I do is, like as an example, I have sent feelers out to people and they've come back and said they haven't told me who, just, hey, I appreciate your invite, but I'm committed to a different convention. No problem, I get it, And even if Heidi and Eric's reasoning was specifically the Adventure League incident, which I don't know because they have not specifically said that to me. My point being is this, is it my fault that they came to me and said, hey, can we come to WizardCon? And my question is this, and it would be for Victor, is if Eric, you said, I'm not going to WizardCon, and you messaged Vic and said, hey, Vic, I'm not going to WizardCon, I want to come to DaveCon, do you think he would tell you no?
Probably not, and that's not poaching.
No.
If the guest instigates this, I think Bad Mike makes a very good point. And Bad Mike would know. He's been running conventions for, 15 years now, Mike? If a special guest...
he's got a little experience.
A special guest does not have a written contract to appear at a location at a specific date, there shouldn't be an issue.
But even if there is a written contract, that guest, if they have an out within that contract, has the reason to exercise it. And plus, I'll defend Heidi and Eric in one way. They did not last minute this. We are what? December, January, February, March, April. We are 5.5 months out from said conventions.
Right.
Okay, because now me and Victor's conventions are on the same day. So, if they would have done this in the last couple months, I would have said, hey, Heidi, come on. I would have dug a little bit more, but we're almost a half a year out.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, and if you look at this realistically, it's none of my flipping business why they chose not to go to this convention.
Well, the other, there could be another issue, that is there not an RPG museum opening up in your town?
What's that?
Is there not an RPG museum that's going to open up in your town?
Oh, absolutely there is.
Will that museum not have a big area devoted to Gygax and his legacy? I mean, so
the way it's planned right now is there is going to be a thing called the Hall of Founders. And it's basically going to be a really nice hall with displays on each side. And there's going to be images of the people who really were instrumental in the founding of role-playing games. There's going to be Gary Gygax. There's going to be Dave Arneson. And there's going to be other people post that to a certain point that were influential in getting RPGs up and running. So
wouldn't it make more sense for Heidi and her husband to come to your convention if that RPG museum is going to be opening? Just to, because of it's her dad. I don't know. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, the thing is, and again, you made a really good point here, and that is fundamentally one thing. Her and Eric have a right to change their mind. I've already had one guest of mine back out. They didn't tell me why. They just said, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to come." My response to it was real simple. No worries. Keep me in mind for 2026. I hope everything goes well for you. I'm not mad about nothing. And then on top of that, he accused me in the message that I was overstepping and purposely scheduled WizardCon on top of DaveCon and said, "Are you going to break your promise to me and schedule it on top of DaveCon next year?" The answer to that is I don't know, because he doesn't have DaveCon scheduled yet for next year, nothing that I found. And we have just decided from now on, WizardCon is the last weekend in April, period. Because the way Easter works out, it's never in the last weekend anyways. It's never the last Sunday. So it's safe for us. So if it falls on a date that he wants to have, then I'm sorry. It's just, we're not going to run around and ask everybody's permission in the foreseeable area. Is it okay if we have this date? Because we would never have a convention if we did that.
Well, honestly, there are a number of gaming conventions and gaming adjacent conventions. Origins moved itself to North Texas as a regular weekend. I mean, that's just part of the hobby. But to even go back to this whole Heidi and Eric Gygax, if you are Heidi and Eric, you're starting a publishing company. You're starting to get material out there. You're trying to get your company known. Do you want to necessarily, this is just my opinion, attach yourself to a convention that is going out of its way to antagonize not just WotC, but a number of 5e players on top of that? Listen, I'm just an, quote, influencer YouTuber. I can annoy people all I want. It doesn't affect my bottom line. But if you are somebody like Heidi and Eric who are looking to get their line of published material up and running, and 5e is part of their audience, and I'm sure 2024 D&D 5e is too, having yourself associated with a convention that is going out of its way to antagonize, I can understand why they may have said maybe it's not a good fit for us. I don't have any inside information, folks. I'm hypothesizing, but
oops.
Do you want
Eric? You are in the Poconos. You are in the Poconos. We can tell.
Yes.
Because this is Eric. This is Eric in the last minute and a half.
Oh, no volume?
Kind of sporadic, off and on. Tom had to do the sound effects, but he didn't.
I know, it's a gem of a rant too, son of a.
Oh, I mean, thing is, Mr. Gunn says, "Don, will we have warning labels on S cards? I'm not sure I feel safe visiting a Hall of Founders." Mr. Gunn, for you, we'll do anything that you need, including if you need purple or green crayons to eat, you let us know. We'll take care of you.
Well, I mean, there are X cards, and then there are X cards because Venger Satanis X cards are like, I want more of this.
Give me more! Give me more!
And I don't think
more Gonzo!
Well, an Unscripted Unchained RPG review says, once Heidi said she wasn't going to DaveCon, she was open to go elsewhere. You did nothing wrong, Don. Thank you. And that's the reason why I'm doing this, is because I feel shitty. Because at one point, I'm mad because I was accused of it. But another part is someone that I pursued as a friend of mine is pointing the finger. Yeah. And I just don't, it just really bothers the shit out of me that things have to be like this between two conventions. You guys have seen me, so has everybody in here off and on who comes in this video. Victor has come into this live chat. I've never been rude to Victor. I've been nice to him. I've been, we've even joked around about DaveCon and WizardCon. And I think Victor even came a couple weeks ago into our chat and even said that it was very amicable between WizardCon. He mentioned it. So I don't know. I mean, I hope, I don't know. I know this video is not going to be taken well, but I'm not going to have people going behind my back to other people. And I'll add another thing. Victor invoked Tim Cass to me and said something that I believe to be very, very untrue. And I'm going to tell you right now, you guys know how I am. I don't go around keeping secrets from people. I called Tim today and said, Tim, I'm going to ask you a question. Was this said? And so the thing is I'm just not jiving with this BS. You got a problem with me? I got no problem with that. If you don't want to come to WizardCon, I respect that. Go to DaveCon. I've said Victor has a great con. He runs it every single year. I think it's his fourth or fifth year now. It's just our convention fell in that timeline of his. It's not a Don attack. It's not a us versus them, and he doesn't need to make it this way. Ed Lazar says, I respect Victor for taking a stand for Gary Gygax. The only question of what is the best way to bring up and address issues. Well, I'm going to throw my opinion on that. Heidi Gygax herself said something here. Heidi said in his post, she mentioned her dad. And she even said that her dad would probably be accepting of the changes made because that is gaming in general. D&D is going to change. We don't maybe agree with this. I don't like WotC's disclaimer. I think that disclaimer at the beginning of the books is BS.
Yeah, agreed.
But you know what? Other parts of it, you can't, we've even criticized it openly here, WotC and some of their changes and everything. It's just the way companies operate. They've got a board of directors and they got investors. I got tired of Jim insulting me and other attendees. So, Mr. Gunn, you can talk to Bad Mike about that direct, I think. Fugly says the medieval fair of Norman falls in the first weekend of April and moves for Easter's like you did. Yes, we just, and again, the whole part was this: is we had a firm date in stone. It was locked in, and they just said, "Hey, did you know?" And in my excitement over WizardCon and just not thinking it through, my fault. I scheduled for over Easter, and that's a bad thing because even Tim Cass told me. Tim goes, "Holy shit, I didn't even think of that." And Tim goes, "Don, if I sat there and because I'm glad you changed it because I wouldn't be able to come because why? Tim has family things. He's got his little grandkids and family comes around. So
Easter eggs come first, baby.
That's right. The little ones at Easter, man. I raised 4 daughters. I get it. Angela. Parent trial. I'm butchering the last name. I know. I apologize. Says honestly, losing an industry guest hurts, but it isn't fair fair to blame the other con organizer. Donna's right. Be nice. Keep the door open for his future. Exactly. It is what it is. Let's see. Mr. Gunn says every X card should have nude pics. I know who you're talking about. Well, it would be X cards then, wouldn't it? Bad Mike says, Mr. Gunn, but I see I'm misinsulting you. Bad Mike says, don't last. Tina's making her comeback. Her apology tour is being teased on her Facebook page. Yes, she is on a comeback tour.
Oh, that's a bit.
Oh, I could go so many different places with what I just said, but I'm just not going to go there. We just got to talking about Jesus and Easter. Ain't happening. Okay, Andrew Thomas makes a good point here, and I know exactly where he's going with this. He said, did Vic go public with any of this? Yes and no. I got a message from a couple people about it. So technically, yes. And number 2, he did say in his post, do I have to go public with this? Because he will. So no, I'm not going to just stand by and allow that to happen. Yeah, Mr. Gunn says, I'd rather... What's that?
You got to be a little preemptive once in a while. If somebody tells you they're going to kick you in the nuts, put your hands down and protect your nuts. I'm just saying, they tell you.
Words of wisdom from Eric Tenkar.
And as a retired police officer, trust me, he more than wants to protect his nuts.
Me, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. I was not going to wait to find out if they were actually going to do so.
Exactly. Mr. Gunn asked, how does a toxic narcissist apologize? I am not sure, but they're on their comeback tour. They're making their attempts.
Narcissist, are we talking about Voldemort?
No.
I think just talking about Satine. Okay. Andrew Thomas says, by this I mean you and WizardCon. Yes, I know what you meant, and yes, and see that's the thing here. You know, when you're going to other people behind my back, and on top of going to other people behind my back, you are invoking. And I'm going to give Tim Kask as an example. Tim is not only a person I do business with. Tim has become a damn good friend of mine, and he is a mentor of mine, and he is a man that I respect immensely. And yes, me and Tim do not agree on everything. Trust me, Tim has no problem calling me on the phone and calling me on the carpet. And that's what I respect and love about the guy so much. He has that ability because I have the ability to listen to him. And although I may be at first disagreeing with every damn thing that man says, I'm listening. And by the end of the phone call, I'm kind of seeing maybe how he's going with it. And Tim has enough respect to want to make that call to me. And that says something.
I'd rather have a friend who would be like, dude, you got mustard on your shirt, than somebody who would look at me and not say a word and not be like, hey, say the uncomfortable thing like, oh, hey, you got mustard on your shirt, whatever it is.
And that's the reason why we have the ability to do this three-way, because we all three of us do that to each other. More than once, I've called you, you've called me, we've called each other. We have that ability. And, you know, Eric, say it. You look like you got something just on the lips you want to pop off.
Yeah. You know, in the conversation that we've mentioned Sateen's name numerous times and come back towards, throwing the word three-way into the conversation almost had me spit up. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
A little bit of throw up in the back of the throat there on that one.
Yeah. Injun Joe, thanks for tuning in. I think this is your first time on our vlog. Thank you very much for tuning in, by the way. He says, or she, I don't know if you're male or female, so I'll just say Injun Joe says, I wish half the TTRPG scene would just quit being prima donnas. As far as poaching vendors, trust me, if WotC had their way, it would be a syndicate you paid to be part of, kind of like a mafia. You know what? 1,000% agreed with you. But on the same token, I'm a big enough boy to say I can tell you all the negative that WotC does, but WotC also has done some things that I agree with. I don't have to just hate the company for the sake of hating the company.
Right.
Gaming first, accept no substitutes. Hell yes, and that's why there are game conventions, because we have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Mr. Gunn says, Angelo Patrono, totally agree. Keep your head held high. Yes. And Shark says, I'm sorry, gentlemen. Heidi very softly defended her father. I imagine if any of you have daughter in such a situation, her performance is pretty shameful. Certainly not a proud defense. I'm going to 100% disagree with that, because the thing is this, Shark, is I have talked personally to a lot of people who knew Gary personally, who worked with Gary personally, smoked cigars personally with him in his office, and all of them say one thing common. No, he was not a racist. No, he wasn't. Did he have opinions of women that were dated for the time? Absolutely, as did my dad, Eric's dad, Tom's dad, and everybody else's dad of the time. Everybody has social opinions of the time. I don't think Heidi's being shameful at all. I think what Heidi's doing is Heidi's doing what any good daughter should, and that's defend her dad. And I back Heidi 1,000% on that one.
Yeah. Look, it's her dad.
It's her dad, absolutely. And on top of that, I saw Heidi's defense. She wasn't being nasty or vindictive or anything like that. All she said was, and I'm paraphrasing again, but the gist of what I got from it was, look, you know, if my dad was alive today, I think my dad would be okay with what Wizards of the Coast changing the game to make people feel welcome. I think that's what she was trying to get at.
Yeah.
You know,
I had some history with my idolizing my father and being rebellious towards my mother. And by the time I turned 24, I realized, my father might have been a little bit of a shit towards my mother. That didn't change the fact that I still love my father, and I still defended my dad, and I still protected my dad.
Absolutely.
It just as I got older and more mature, I realized, wait a minute, mom was not as bad as I thought she was when I was 16, and dad was not, the golden boy I thought he was when I was 16. And I made different conscious decisions concerning my parents.
Yeah, because we are adult enough, like me. My dad was a helicopter pilot and a warrant officer in the Army. I idolized what my dad did growing up. I thought my dad was like, for lack of a better term, my dad was G.I. Joe, Rambo, and all the good wrapped up in one person. And the thing is as an adult now, I listen back to things my dad said, certain things and such, and I'm like, oh, that would never fly today. But it doesn't take away he's my dad, and I'm not going to stand by and allow somebody to trash my dad.
Right.
And Heidi is in a triply, quadruply, 1,000 times more worse position because her dad is so well known, so famous.
So public.
Absolutely. And he's such a good target, a really good target to go after because it's easy to offer an opinion, but if you never met the guy, knew the guy, or talked to the guy, where are you getting your opinion from? You know, I'm getting mine from the people that knew him, gamed with him, and worked for him.
Yeah.
And it's not like one person saying one thing. They all have a consistent thing they say about Gary. But yes, Mike.
Is that I interviewed Tim Cass way back, and I asked him some questions, and I kind of got some feedback, some of those stories about Gary. And what Tim told me backs up what you're saying concerning Gary, is that I think he was just a very kind and loving man. He had opinions that were unique to their time. I remember my father using some words that you could never use today. And I remember being shocked by him using them, like, whoa, I never expected my dad to say this, but he said it in the context of a joke, and it was a private family thing where he said this joke, and I was like, whoa. To me, I was like shocked. And, okay, you have to look at people and evaluate them where they're at and what was their intent. And, as far as Heidi goes, she did right by me, as far as I'm concerned. Defending.
Well, she defended her dad, and on top of that, at the end of all the bulk of this is, to me, even if Heidi disagrees with Victor about his post, that's a good thing because that's part of having a public group on Facebook. Is like this show, we welcome. Like Shark. Shark offered an opinion that I firmly disagree with a few moments ago. I didn't block him and ban him. He's welcome to his opinion. Vlog of many things. Even though you and I may not agree, Shark, you're entitled to your opinion.
Who I have a problem with is Ernie Gygax Jr. Because
I have a huge problem with him.
There was a troll in the community who was taking a massive steaming dump on his brother and attacking his brother and saying the nastiest things, and he never pushed back. He was in business with that troll, and and then they did that whole Ernie Gygax seal of approval.
Well, that troll also, on a recorded phone call with me, actually plotted and bragged about how he was going to go ahead and ruin his brother's retirement and actively work by contacting CID and all that. I told Ernie that. And Ernie's response was, well, I'm not getting involved in it. What are you talking about? Your brother served over 30 years in the military, is a freaking, I know he wouldn't like me to use this term, but he's a freaking war hero, And the thing is, he's a decorated combat veteran. And to know that your business partner is actively trying to destroy his 30-plus years of service retirement over petty bullshit, and your response is, well, don't get me involved in it.
I don't want to get involved. Yeah, that's
character.
Yeah, there are so many issues, there. And so Heidi is golden with me. Ernie is not. And, I don't have a problem with Heidi defending her father.
No.
Exactly. And Bad Mike makes a really good point here. Bad Mike says, if Heidi was not completely gung-ho in her defense of her father, there is possibly a reason. I hate to say it, but we cannot say we know these personalities like family does. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's why I rely upon the opinions, not of, and I'll pick on you and Tom. I don't rely on Tom and Eric's opinion of Gary Gygax for my idea of what he was. I rely on the people who I talked to that worked with him and for him and that knew him. Mm-hmm. Because they know, it's like what Tim told me. Tim's told me stories. They used to have blue sky sessions. It was Tim and Gary in the office, drinking, smoking some cheap ass cigars and talking about what if, the days before they did well. And he was telling me, the story about when they talked about, what if we sell this like 1,000 copies of this game? Can you imagine that? Hang on to your shorts, people. You did a little bit better than that. I think that's another thing people are not understanding. Gary was an insurance underwriter. He was a cobbler. And the thing is he started something that I don't believe for a moment he, in his wildest dreams, thought it would do what it did. And to have that type of sudden success dumped on you and all that fame and acknowledgement, it can really play with not something your head, yes, but also the reaction. How do you react to it? It'd be like me putting a game up for sale today and within 2 weeks having 1 million copies sold. I would be like, anyone would be, but
You just need the satanic panic to go after
yeah,
Wizard Tower games.
yeah. What the hell? What makes satanic panic? Either that or maybe there's like an anti-gaming club happening, like an AA for gamers. Maybe someone would create a thing like that and start going after Wizard Tower for propagating the evilness of gaming.
Yeah.
Never know.
So
And yet you have a right to do that. Okay, and I'll address this. I'm a man. I don't do pronouns. Thanks. You know what, Injun Joe? You have an exact right to exercise that personal opinion and policy, absolutely. But other people have the right not to. And I think there's where fundamentally we go ahead and we err here.
Right.
Eric set me up some fine Irish whiskey.
It's when you impose your beliefs on others. If I'm somebody who believes that pronouns should always be after somebody's name, and I tell Don he has to do it, and Don goes, "Why?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's fine if I do it. That's what I want to do. That's great. I don't, by the way. But because I would probably be like, something stupid like, "No, I'm not going to go into it." But
Well, yeah.
but if that is what you want to do, fine. But don't expect others who aren't interested in it to come along because your word is no better than anybody else's.
Well, go ahead.
Before pronouns were a thing, you just had to figure out what to do. And, like Tammy's in the theater world, and when you marry somebody who's a director, that by default puts you in the theater world. And so then you're on the set constructing set, and you've got to deal with people who identify a little differently sometimes. And, my approach was just avoid any pronouns. All right, I think they're a man. They seem to be kind of presenting as a woman. I'll just call them by their name, and I'll avoid stepping on anything because.
But the question becomes this: is if you're gaming with somebody at a table, okay, and I'll just pick on me. Let's say I'm Don, and you say, "Hey Don, hey Mr. Samora, just being a little formal, jokey, whatnot." And I say, "Hey Tom, I prefer to be called, just call me by name Don. I don't want to be called Mr. Samora." You probably will call me Don. You won't be vindictive and keep using the name Mr. Samora. Right. You may in your mind go, "Why is he being so freaking picky?" In my mind, it's stupid. But you're going to respect my wishes. And see, that costs nothing. That costs you and everybody at that table not a damn dime to be that way to somebody at the table. All you're doing is you're making them feel welcome.
The name that I'm first introduced to you as.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
If you say, "Just call me Don," okay, Don. Or if I first meet you and you go, "My name is Donald," then I'm going to make sure I call you Donald. That's going to roll.
Jim Wampler.
That's how I file names away in my memory.
Yeah. Well, Wampler says it best. Critiquing a daughter's defense of her own father is way out of order. Absolutely 100% agreed. 1,000%. And it's and also I believe in for a person to accuse somebody else of something without just coming to him instead and just saying, "Hey, I got a question for you, man." And this is what bothers me about Victor. If Victor would have just come and said, "Hey, can I call you real quick?" Sure. And he got on the phone with me and said, "Hey, Don, man, I got a question for you. Heidi's coming to your convention now. What's going on there, man? She was coming to mine. Now she's coming to yours. Is something going on? I mean, I would have been happy to go, no, and I would have explained it to him, and hopefully that would have put it to bed. But, as they say, when you make assumptions, you only make an ass out of who?
You and me.
Yep, you and Umption.
Thank you, Felix Unger.
Yes.
That's the first
Let's
time I
see here.
There's a reference.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not old, not siree.
Bad Mike says, Don put it best. You can defend your friends, relatives without whitewashing their history, especially when people are trying to guess and assume ulterior motives, certain behaviors. Exactly. You know, and I'll give you, I'll pick on my grandfather on my mom's side, my grandfather Donald. Donald Bowson was his name, and my grandfather was the biggest raging racist bigot. You name it, he was it, and he was proud of it. Okay, but in the same token, if you came to his house and you said, "I don't have diapers for my kid," he'd take you down to the store and buy your kid diapers. He was a weird amalgam of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to sit there and make him out to be a saint because he was not. But on the same token, I'm not going to sit there and make up lies about a person to make up lies about them to kind of like vindicate my stance on something. People are who they are. And some people are just the way they are because of the time. My grandfather, I'm not defending that, but Gary Gygax was a man of, I think he was born in the 40s, was he? 30s. So he was my dad's, generation. And,
It's the family dynamic that if you attack one member of the family, like if you beat up on one brother, the other four brothers are coming to jump in. They don't care what the little brother did.
Yeah.
You were beating up on. They'll beat his ass, but you're not beating his ass. They're gonna, it's a family dynamic, and you can't, and that holds true even today.
Yes.
In this day and age.
And Mr. Gunn asked a question that I need to explain something real quick. He says, Gunn, Bad Mike says, Gunn, with your luck, hoping the economy improves in the next 6 months. Now, real quick, when you go to WizardCon's tabletop events page, you're going to see that not a lot of events are showing. Trust me, there's events and vendors. I made a mistake. I actually had to I actually had Heidi and Eric help me. A couple days ago, they walked through my layout of the thing. I made a mistake. When you go in tabletop events to set up a convention, I guess when you make the room, you have to actually make every single table underneath that or something to that. They walked me through it. I didn't do that. So although I have a ton of events pending, I need to add those tables and so I can assign them. So by the end of this weekend, I'm adding like 200 tables to this thing. This thing is we're going to get all of them situated. So to Heidi Gygax and Eric Gygax's credit, they stepped up, went on a conference call video with me, and we walked through it. I did a screen, two-way the screen, and they were really helpful to me. So Don made a mistake in setting up tabletop events. Next time, Bad Mike, I'll just ask you because you're really good at this.
I'm going to write you up too, man. You're going to go on the minor violations log.
I know. I know.
By the way, I want to address a recent comment from Shark. Shark, if Don's saying way out of line, this is how I see it. All right. If it's a family member, however they want to defend their family member or not, that's on the family member. I never criticize it because it's not my family.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I have certainly taken steps to defend Gary. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk with Jeff Talanian and see if I can read his Facebook post in defense of Gary because he worked with Gary. I think it's awesome and truly the work of an artist of the word. It's great. But again, those won't be my words. They'll be Jeff's words. However, whatever Heidi wants to say is coming from her heart. And she's saying it the best way that she can say it. I am never going to criticize anybody for what they say about their own family members, good or bad, because I don't live that life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, my goal with all of this is I think more game conventions, the better, and I said this to you earlier, Eric, and I've said it before, it's like Bad Mike in North Texas. I actually kind of use that as a blueprint for my con because his game convention is kind of like the way I want my game convention to be, in the sense that relatively small, keeping it real with everybody, everybody's welcome, and we just kind of go, with the flow. Whereas I'm a little bit more open on what kind of games I have. Whereas I think Bad Mike, not putting words in your mouth, my friend, but I think Bad Mike's convention is more geared towards the older versions of games. So you likely see more classic D&D, Umaldov and Beckme and all that than you would 5e as an example. So, but there's a lot of conventions out there I really respect. I'll just say it, like, North Texas is one I look at really heavy. I'm looking at GaryCon, the early days of GaryCon, how they did it. I'm looking at places like TotalCon and ShireCon. And, speaking of, just to let everybody know, I'm going to be at TotalCon this year in 2025. I got invited as a special guest. Kind of, threw me for a loop that I'd be selected, but thank you to the organizers of that. So we are coming, and I'm going to be there doing some panels and doing some bits and pieces there. So,
but I will be a media guest. So for that, I'll be, grabbing Don. If Tom is there, I'll be grabbing Tom.
Hell yes.
You'll have too much of the three of us to the point that you'll be overwhelmed. It'll be great, though. Well,
my pretty face kind of balances out the panel, so it'll be
It's that gorgeous hairstyle.
That's right. Absolutely.
My God, I need to get my hair cut. It's only been, oh God, I got my hair cut for North Texas, so I guess it's way.
Who's got my beard trimmed?
Yeah.
Samson must get his hair cut.
I see a whole bunch of people's birthdays are this month. We're all birthday boys. Mine's December 15th. I turn illustrious 57. So, yeah.
You're only a half year behind me.
That's right.
I'm going to be 49 in March, but that's 49 for 9 years straight.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mom.
I keep making sure that I wish my wife a happy 21st birthday every year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're robbing the cradle, sir. You're robbing the cradle.
It's bad enough. When I'm talking about, when I did this, she's like, I was still in school. I'm like, oh God.
I was in the womb.
My wife is only 6 years younger than I am.
Oh, okay.
So
Not too far from us.
No.
Yeah. But Don thinks it's good to know who the host of the who the target is. We're all hosts here. Mr. Gunn says, Frugal, at Frugal, hey, or GM, hey, if someone wants to make a scene, I'll be happy to let them. I can just walk away. Personally, for me, if someone wants to call, say they, them, sure, I can do that. What I do is this, and it's just like if I was at a game convention and I seen, as an example, I saw Voldemort. You know what? Out of respect for the game convention, I wouldn't do a damn thing.
Right.
Because number two, out of the respect for people I know that like Wizard Tower games or watch my show or whatnot, or watch this show, whether you're watching Wizard Tower games show or ours, respect. Don't be a public ass. There's no need for it. That's why I don't talk politics on my business channel or my business accounts. I stay away from it. But the defense team lost. She could have been more fierce than I am. Nothing out of order about that. Everybody does their thing differently, though.
Yeah.
I know people that would have walked into that with F-bombs flying and threats of lawsuits and crazy shit. Some people work with a little bit more tact and restraint. And keep in mind one thing, Mr. Shark. There's another thing you got to look at here. When you're in someone of, like, I'm in Heidi's position, she has a name behind her, Gygax. She has a game convention she operates and a business. You have to be very careful how you respond to people because that can really color the other aspects of your online existence. So
I don't have to walk a line.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that after the fact you think, oh, maybe I should have said something a little different. And, trying to go back and then, constantly rehashing it, it's just not going to, I don't know that it's going to help.
Yeah, and I think Ed Lazar says it best. He says,
opinion, though. I can respect his opinion that he felt it was soft. Okay.
Yeah, but Ed Lazar says, treat others with kindness and respect regardless of our differences, and in general settings, use some basic etiquette and put aside politics, religion, and social issues, it's common decency.
Yeah.
And I'll put an amen on that one. Cal Valoni says, my dad had already gotten a free boat ride to Korea and back. Yeah, my dad got one to Korea and Vietnam.
My dad got a free plane flight to Thailand during the Vietnam War.
Yep. Mr. Gunn says, Ed's order, yep, costs nothing to be decent, easy with people. If someone steps on a boundary, have a calm conversation. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think what needs to happen here is it is a lot of work. It was a lot more work than I thought. I thought this was going to be I'll eat, no problem at all. No, boy, spreadsheet on top of spreadsheet printed, trying to keep track of guests and what they're getting and what this is going on. And just to let people know a little bit real quick, we are going to be doing some prizes. Yep, we're going to be doing some prizes at WizardCon. So we're going to be putting up like a poll for different awards, and people are welcome to offer and select or make a write-in of who they think should get that award. It's going to be an award like, we want to do like an industry, like someone to get an award for overall being like a positive thing in the gaming community for the year. We're going to be doing one for like best game packaging design. Some different types of cool stuff for people that are just to have fun with the convention. Point of view, hope as well. There's definitely people out there seeking to attack or smear Gary Gygax. I mean, when you're a big name and you're famous, you're a target. Period.
And you're deceased, even more so, because you can't defend yourself.
Exactly.
The best time to attack somebody is when they're dead.
Yes. Kim Winston says, I really wish people who fixate on the honor of Gary Gygax would think about how this impacts his surviving loved ones. Fighting over whitewashing just reminds me of them of the flaws. And that's the thing. I mean, I can really I feel sorry for people like Heidi and Luke and such, that they're having to, can you imagine going online and just seeing some of the things being said about your own dad that they have been said about their dad? And it's like, man, not good at all. Eric, I think you have to use a term, dip out of here, because
I got to dip because I got to go to the Discord.
So you got Discord. So enjoy your Discord, sir.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're not much longer on here.
Yeah, live stream tomorrow at 8. Maybe one Saturday. Too many live streams. Love you all.
Cheers.
Keep up the good fight, and no cage matches without supervision.
Oh, we didn't even get to that yet. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
I just fed the bear. All right, folks. Catch you all later.
See ya. Yeah, we're not going to be here much longer, folks. The bottom line is this. What's that, Tom?
No, I think we're close to done. We're hitting an hour.
Yeah. So basically, bottom line is, let's hit these last comments. Kim says, I'm pretty sure they'd rather just remember and talk about the good times and leave the flaws to footnotes and specific discussions they don't have to read, listen to. Agreed 100%. Cal or Mr. Gunn says, Don, guess our parents attended the same party on 24th birthday. Both our parents were a little busy over that week and a half period. Cal says, early swingers did that, Mr. Gunn. Don't know. Terry R., you're a bunch of kids. Yes, we are. 57 years young, as I like to say. Yes, I still play video games.
With our inner 12-year-old.
Yeah, and I actually play this really silly game called Dungeons and Dragons. You might have heard of it. And then Jim Wampler says, the other day I just found out that Tim doesn't like to be called Buddy. And why wouldn't I do my best not to keep doing that? It's just that simple. I know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to be in a phone call to call him Buddy just subconsciously and not doing it out of being facetious. And then you're going to go, you did it on purpose. Kim says, Gary didn't ask to be a cultural icon long after his death, and Heidi didn't ask to be his daughter. But it's very true. You know what I mean? And then Andrew Thomas says, I suppose if you look at this from a courtroom perspective, I need physical evidence of what Vic texted versus what you were saying to be texted. but again, he should have been resolved between you two. Well, there's a couple things. Is number one, I can post the actual chat here, but it invokes another human being in this that I'm not going to show what was said about Tim specifically, because it's no one's business what was said about Tim specifically. And I respect Tim Cass too much to do it. But I think I shared the text both with Tom and with Eric, and I don't have to lie, and I don't lie. No need to do it. So at the end of all this, again, I think we can break here. You got the last word, and at the end of the day, it's like this. I don't want to be an enemy of Victor Dorso. I respect Dave Kahn. I respect Angry Dwarf Games, but I can't have this kind of nonsense going behind my back, other people being messaged or whatnot. If I see him at a convention, I'll shake his hand. I'll be nice to him, professional. I got no ill will towards him. But man, we can't even go down this road. Dave Kahn and Wizard Con, what we should be doing as 2-game conventions is going, hey, you know what? Let's help each other out. How can we help each other out a little bit here? And if you don't want to, I can respect that. But this stealing and poaching guests and stuff.
How many miles are between the two of you?
3 or 4 states.
Yeah. So
and wherever Heidi's at in Wisconsin, I am 2 hours or so closer to her than he is in Minnesota, because I'm from Michigan and Dave Kahn's in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Heidi said it was like an hour and a half, 2 hour difference, just one way.
Yeah.
So
there's no such thing as poaching when you're that many states away.
No, not at all.
Right. And I like Victor. Victor and I are friends. I've sent him a case of root beer. And so, and I'm glad he didn't involve me in this controversy. But you're far enough apart. It doesn't matter that you're on the same weekend. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Let's all game, and let's all have a couple of game conventions. Yes, they're on the same weekend this year, but guess what? I think we're also the same weekend as I think at least 2 others that I know of.
Right.
Game on, people.
Wouldn't it be bad if all you could ever have was 52 conventions in a year? Because
that'd be crazy.
One convention got a weekend. That's their weekend.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
That'd be dumb.
Well, that'd be sucky for all the convention goers and all the gamers out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like I said, everybody's they're if you notice, I haven't shied away from anybody's posts. Everybody's opinions are welcome. I don't agree with some things, but you know what? You have a right to your opinion. And
let me comment on the root beer comments here. Virgil's microbrew, small batch by Virgil's. It's sold by Trader Joe's. I don't work at Trader Joe's. I just drink their root beer. It's awesome. Anything that the big soda companies put out is garbage. But the Virgil's, their root beer.
It's like saying ginger ale. No, you want Verner's. Verner's and ginger ale are totally different, but Verner's is the real ginger ale, in my opinion. But I'm from Michigan. I'm biased. So at the Verner's note, we shall end this. Everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. Please hit like and subscribe. Help the channel out. Get the channel built up. We need to get some more subscribers. And we'll be back next week with a smile on our face, and who knows what's going to happen in between. So everybody, have a good night. Happy gaming, and enjoy your root beer. I'm going to enjoy my Verner's. Talk to you guys later.